Are you pregnant and determined to breastfeed? In this video, Dr. Robyn is going to share with you the importance of preparation during pregnancy. This allows you to make informed decisions and to have the confidence to trust your body and your baby as it embarks on this new journey. If you watch until the end, you're going to get some really awesome tips and you'll understand how these tips can help you avoid those painful complications that many women experience during their labour, birth and breastfeeding journeys. If you want to spread the love, give us a thumbs up, and also don't forget to share this video with other pregnant loved ones that you know, and pop us a comment below to let us know if you want to learn anything else. Here is the lovely lady herself giving you some tips on how to prepare for your breastfeeding journey. Are you feeling confident in your birth and breastfeeding journey? Today, we're going to share some tips on how you can feel more prepared. So, show your pregnant loved ones that you care and just pop their name below. I'm Chelsea from Team Thompson, and I am joined with the very special Dr. Robyn Thompson and Sarah Jackson, who is actually going to be a qualified Thompson Method practitioner soon, and she works already very closely alongside Robyn, sharing the very important knowledge of the Thompson Method. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, Chelsea. Whoops, got to look at the camera.
We're all very new to this, so we hope you guys can laugh along with us as we do it. So we're giving away some really awesome things today. It's Dr. Robyn's free guide, and that's a gentle guide to breastfeeding. So if you'd like access to that, just pop the word free guide below. And of course, there is also the show notes, which will be available at the end. Just drop the word show notes below. So, Robyn, what do you reckon? Do you think that women are forgetting how powerful their maternal instincts are?
I'm not sure they're forgetting. I think the pressures upon women now of so many people telling them what to do and how to do it, and not in cognition with what the women are capable of doing themselves. So their instincts tell them all the time. What we have to try and do to the best of our ability is to tune into that instinct and hear what they're saying. And so all of that, to me, is very important to building confidence, to assisting building confidence. We can't build their confidence as such, but we can assist in them becoming confident in themselves because of their knowledge, because of their experience, because of their instinctive ability to know. That's what I would suggest.
Always the gentle answer as well, and I think Sarah can agree, having been a mum who learnt a lot from Robyn, that we definitely feel more empowered and confident after meeting Robyn herself. What do you think, Sarah?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, definitely. So, Sarah, what do you think is in preparation? What do you think the power of having knowledge before birth, why it's important during pregnancy?
Oh, it is so important during pregnancy because it gives you the opportunity to prepare and to plan, and it gives you the chance to take control of your birth, most importantly, and then your breastfeeding journey that follows. Unfortunately, I think so many of us get so much conflicting information. We trust all the medical professionals, and we end up in some pretty serious positions during birth and then through to breastfeeding.
Absolutely. And I think that we can both agree that I didn't realise how important the decisions we make during pregnancy, labour and birth actually can affect our breastfeeding journey. And of course we can rectify that if we get early intervention, but it can have lasting effects as well. We both didn't have the best start to breastfeeding, did we?
And I think too, I've heard even my friends say, I'm just going to wing it, it'll be right. I don't need to, like what said, learn. That's a big mistake.
Yes, I agree. I definitely said, I'm just going to wing it. That's exactly what I said, unfortunately. Robyn, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would say that is so in the current situation. And you know, most of the Western countries, it's the same, that midwives particularly are expected to fit within the medical model and they are really midwives in their own right. So especially in Australia, midwifery is a profession in its own right. And once you are in the system, you are institutionalised. And when you're institutionalised, that becomes the dramas of then putting aside your duty of care in many situations where you could spend more time with women, and you can't do that because the policyisation is upon you, and the expectation is that you will do as you're told, otherwise you might lose your job. And so people are fearful, and especially in the current climate where people need an income, it's one of those difficult times, and I can compare that to my days of midwifery when I didn't have to conform to all of that. So consequently, I am a non-conformist, and I encourage my colleagues and the women to do what they need to do to provide the service, the midwives, and the women to plan what they need to plan for what they prefer. And of course, there's always the time when some women will need, medical assistance, but not medical assistance where medicine is dominant. It does not need to be dominant. We are complementary professions, and in that process, we should be providing the best service between us and building the confidence in those women as well. So I'm a real stickler for all of that sort of return to respect, return to building confidence in everybody, and not to tell women what they must do, what they have to do because the policy says you have to do it. And that's not the way it works, because policies are not legislated.
Yeah, and thank goodness that you are a stickler for that, because I know thousands of women have been empowered to take control of their journeys, not just in labour and birth, but in breastfeeding as well. There is so much, as Sarah said, there is so much conflicting advice, and sometimes it doesn't work for us and it might work for another, but it's important for us to do what works for us. And thankfully, you are a stickler, like I said, Robyn. So when we talk in education, what will having education behind us, what will that achieve for these women? What will having knowledge and background of the decisions, what will that help with?
Well, if a woman is sharing her instinctive knowledge, her knowledge about herself, then we have the right to listen very carefully to that, to be with her, beside her, not to stand over her. Always sit beside her, or if she happens to be down lower on the floor, to be kneeling down and beside her, not to work your way so that you become dominant. Listen to what she's, there's so much that a woman tells you when she's working through labour, where we don't have to do all the routine procedures that people are educated with. And that's an invasion often of women's bodies. And there are times when we do need to do those things, but it's really with the most gentle approach, not with the dominant approach that we tend to have in the professions and in the system. So again, I go back to that where we had politicians change women from giving birth where they chose to being institutionalised mainly in public hospitals, but of course there's the large private system as well, and then the intervention rates in both of those organisations or those systems are very high. And so I think we could avoid a lot of that if we had a midwife for every woman, and we had Medicare paid. I don't know what the rest of the world does, but NHS, I think it is in the UK, we could have Medicare paid directly to the women, not go through the whole processing that it goes through now and then requiring bulk billing and all that sort of thing. I think there could be some major changes. And I think also the less political and medical interference in midwifery practice is really, really important. I would like to know, particularly from a home birth practice for over 25 years, that how many medical practitioners have actually been beside a woman during her pregnancy, from when she's in labour, when she needs you there, travelling to her place, being with her and beside her, being with her when she gives birth to her baby, being with her for the next however many hours afterwards until she has finished her breastfeeding and her baby is settled, uninterrupted touching unless absolutely necessary. How many medical practitioners have ever done that? Yet they want us to practice in a medical model. It doesn't make any sense to me when all the experience that I have had, and so much of how have I learned from women, that they gave me the confidence to do what I was able to do, and many of my colleagues would just love to do that. So I think we need to do the, 360 degrees and come back to where we were genuinely with women. And Caroline Flint in the UK was one of those leaders. Beverly Beach from the Association of Radical Midwives was also one of those leaders. And I have been very fortunate to be connected with them over my journey, over my career.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you say that, because there's lots of news actually in the UK at the moment amongst the discussion of interventions and how much intervention rates have risen because of hospitalisation with labour and birth. I think I've mentioned this before to you, Robyn, but we actually have to have, or we're required to have, a vaginal examination before we're actually entered into the labour ward, which can make some women feel vulnerable, and it can be quite discomforting as well. So when you're saying to take control, many of us may actually question that. Well, how can I? I've been told that there are these set rules, and how can I incorporate those rules into my birth and my breastfeeding plan? Sarah, what do you think? You've recently given birth. Your little one's not quite 2 yet. So what would you say to when I say making plans in preparation with your birth and breastfeeding plan? How can that help?
Well, I just think, especially through Dr. Robyn's breastfeeding program, having the confidence to know my rights, having heard her video, keep your fingers out of my vagina. Please.
Very good one.
I mean, I just think it's your body. You have the right to say no. You don't need anyone's fingers in your vagina doing any kind of exam. I think midwives are definitely trained to read a woman's body and watch her progress through labour without having any kind of internal examination. And they are uncomfortable and really unnecessary, especially as a routine procedure before a woman is even assessed as a whole picture. They're just immediately going straight to do that in the UK. I don't think that's okay.
No, and it becomes to what it had here, a 4-hourly routine procedure that was expected. So hence my video, because that is not necessary. We hear, we see, we're working with, we are staying with the woman's rhythm, not what we think they should do. And when we're working in their rhythm with them, side by side with them, then the whole environment changes. Also pain relief, rather than opioids for pain relief, we can encourage deep warm water immersion, which means that the body is buoyant and the nerve ending pains change, and a woman will move in her time, in her space, unaffected as well. But recently we have a paper written on this by Jai Allen too, who's challenging. There's been a group of people who've suggested we go back to perform digital anal examinations if a woman has a tear, a perineal tear. Well, I wonder, for the last 50 years, how we've been able to assess tears and suture tears without putting a finger in the anus. That stopped about 50 years ago when I was a young midwife. And I think that's appalling that we are returning to that. So look forward to my video. I will be making another video.
Oh, a little drop there. I like it.
I certainly will be taking particular notice of Jai and the work that she's a highly intelligent midwife here. Very, very writes amazingly, and I'm very keen to, stop this invasion of women's bodies. It is not right that we invade their bodies unnecessarily. Unnecessarily is the final word.
Yeah, I agree. I wish I'd known that I had that right when I was in labour. That's for sure. So of course we're talking about pregnancy today, and if you are pregnant, congratulations from us all. It's a very exciting time, and we do appreciate it can be a bit anxiety inducing, and it can be a little bit worrying, especially if you're a first time mum. So we hope that this video will help you feel more confident and maybe offer some tips in that area. So congratulations if you are pregnant. Like I said, drop your due date below. Let's get the conversation going. So, Sarah. Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Sarah. And
very exciting time.
She's a very wise woman, and she's going to have so much to share.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited to know how different your experience is this time after having all that knowledge and that empowerment from Robyn. I'm sure very different.
I'm not really sure she wanted to announce it though.
I'm not sure either. That's why I didn't say anything. I hope that's okay, Sarah.
That's fine. I don't know.
I'm sure everyone will join.
They'll all be able to see it shortly anyway when I'm out here.
That's right. Yeah.
But I'm very excited to be able to reflect on my hospital experience and now plan for a home birth experience and put into practice everything I've learned from Dr. Robyn.
It's so exciting. I can't wait to follow your journey, and hopefully you'll share some bits of it along the way as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. So we've actually got some ladies commenting now. Very powerful talk. Very many thanks to Dr. Robyn, and there's some others coming in. Thank you, ladies. I'm due the 5th of June. That's Ashley. Congratulations, Ashley. How exciting is that?
Oh, can I just say hi to Linos? Hi, Linos. Wow. I'm very pleased to see you there. And thank you to you too. You have been wonderful. A very important part of my progress through this new way I'm working. Thank you. Sorry, Lena is from Africa.
Hi, Lena.
Yeah.
We're so glad you joined today. Thank you for your time. So there's some other ones here as well. We've already said Ashley.
Sorry, ladies.
Emma says she's got a baby girl due on the 10th of August. That's very exciting. And then we've got some others coming in. So keep those coming, ladies. We'll read them out shortly. And like I said, if you just joined and you'd like access to Dr. Robyn's free guide, it's a gentle guide to breastfeeding. Just drop the word free guide below. And access to today's show notes will be Mama Love. Drop that below. And we're joined by lovely Dr. Robyn and Sarah Jackson. And we're talking about tips on how to feel more confident and prepared in your labour, birth and breastfeeding journey. So the next thing I want to ask you ladies is about being a self-advocate. We've spoke about that already, having the power to say no if you're feeling uncomfortable or perhaps vulnerable. But what about having an advocate in your partner or your healthcare team? How would we go about that?
I think that's brilliant. I think, you're perfect if your partner's working with you and very strong. And also, I think if your partner and yourself both know your legal rights within your country, wherever you are, then that's really important too, understanding what your legal rights are. And we've got some good laws here on consent. We have some good laws on breastfeeding. No one can make comment. No one can ask you to leave. No one can stop you from breastfeeding. No one can refuse you service. And so it's really important to understand those things so that if someone does approach you and doesn't appear to agree with you breastfeeding in public, then that's really none of their business and they need to be reminded of the law. And I see many wonderful women breastfeeding at the restaurants or cafes where I go, and every time I do, I tell them how wonderful they are.
That's so beautiful, Robyn, because I think many mothers can agree that it can be nerve-wracking breastfeeding in public, especially with lots of negative stories coming out in social media recently. As much as there are positive ones as well, we should focus on those. Of course, we can't help but pick up on the negative impact as well. And being in lockdown as well, you might not have had the chance to breastfeed that often in public, but as scary as it can be, it's a very special moment when you realise you've just fed in public and you've overstepped what's expected sometimes. And like you say, knowing your rights, shove those laws in people's faces if you need to. Absolutely, Robyn.
Well, I'm not sure we need to do that, but we need to speak the law and say, are you aware of the legal rights that I have? Have you read the law? And then that makes people think a little bit more about what they're saying. And because if you haven't, then I have rights, and maybe I could contact someone if you continue treating me this way.
Absolutely, especially in places of service like restaurants and elsewhere. Really entitled to feed your baby. So that's a very good point. So talking about advocates in our partners, can we sort of incorporate that into our birth and breastfeeding plan, so that if we do choose to go and have give birth at a hospital, that we can make sure that our wishes will be listened to if perhaps we're not in the right frame of mind during labour and birth to implement our wishes?
Without doubt.
Without
doubt.
Yeah. I had my husband there, but I recruited my best friend, who I knew would be my backbone, and it was perfect. We had a meeting beforehand, and we talked through all my wishes, and she really came to the party during my labour and birth, and she spoke up for me on my behalf. And I think it is so important to have someone there who you can rely on to advocate for you. It is you're in a time of extreme pain. Your family have never seen you in so much pain, and you are so vulnerable and potentially could be easily led down a path you didn't necessarily want to go.
And sometimes the male partners feel vulnerable too, because they feel like, particularly when the doctors are saying what you have to do, they become a bit anxious. So to have someone who's really strong and maybe has had a baby before and understands the internalization of it all, that does help immensely. But also partners can be really strong. They can be very strong, and once they've experienced it, the next time around they seem to be able to adapt with it much better. For those who adapt first up, brilliant. Yeah.
And I think it's really important to know too that you can ask for time to have a think about if a doctor comes in and says they would like you to consider being induced, perhaps you can just say, we're just going to have some time to have a talk about it. Thank you. We'll let you know what we decide. Rather than being...
I think that's a great point actually, Sarah, because that covers the topic of making informed decisions, and we can only make these decisions with an informed background of knowledge, and that's where the confidence comes in. I think that you'd agree this time around, being pregnant again, you're more confident because of that background knowledge. Knowledge is power, and you can only make these decisions with informed background if you have that, and your partners as well. We know lots of women that join in with their partners and they all watch the prenatal classes together. ROBYN'S prenatal classes are out of this world, and they're full packed with so much education. And we have women watching with friends, with partners, and sharing it with friends and other family members, because it's so powerful to have that knowledge before you're in the situation, not waiting until you are and then having to make that decision. Like you say, Sarah, take time to really think about your options and ask questions. Maybe, what do you think, Robyn? Is it important to ask your team questions?
Oh, absolutely. And it's very important for the team to listen, to sit down, talk with you and listen, and have the same feelings that you're portraying with them as well, and so that they're fully aware. And of course they'll talk with you and remind you if there's things that they're concerned about, and you're probably highly likely, with your innate instinctiveness, be able to tell them that you're already aware of that. There are many things that I don't know what's happened with education. It seems to be that there's a lot of inability for strong people to be able to have their say when they're protecting or advocating for someone, because the fears that go with it. And then for the women, it's the coercion, the fear by coercion that works. One of the most outstanding things that I can remember is the number of women who were labouring really well and they were labouring over a fairly long period of time. And what happened with what they taught me there is they go into an inert period where they need to sleep. Their body's tired, their mind is tired. So they don't stop labouring, but their labour actually quietens. So we nest them and we make them really comfortable and snuggled. We check their fetal heart rate as we would under any circumstances, but we don't disturb them unless we're concerned about the baby's heart rate or something with the mother. You can hear the contractions that are happening, but they're not with the power and energy that they use when they're in full force working with it. They have a break, and it's a natural break. It's a part of the brain that takes them into this inert period. That is lacking badly at the moment. It's more about acceleration if you don't do it in our time. We want you to do it in this time. You've been so many hours doing that. And again, the immersion in deep warm water, even for someone that's hopping in the shower, others it's just, getting into the most comfortable position. And worst is being on your back. The worst you could possibly do is being on your back, and even worse than that is being in stirrups, women being in stirrups. So if I'm no longer in the labour ward, as you can imagine, I'm getting older and I'm working with so many women at the moment with breastfeeding, but I would say no, we're not going into stirrups. Please understand that there are 2 midwives here. We can make this woman comfortable, but we are not putting her in stirrups. It is just one of the most horrific things to do. What I do suggest, if you'd like to try it yourself first, would be good. Then you might understand why we are saying, please, don't do this.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's actually a great topic that we can perhaps discuss in the future. Birthing options, continuing on from home birth, we can talk about pain relief options, natural relief options, and maybe positions, and maybe some hypnobirthing techniques as well we could share. I know that those were very helpful for myself. And keep moving, as you always say, Robyn. Let's have a look and see. We've got lots of pregnant women who are commenting, which is awesome. I absolutely love your voice, Dr. Robyn, says Stacey. I feel the same. I was just thinking that listening to you there, Robyn. Your voice is so soothing, and you just have a natural nurturing attitude, and it is so lovely to us all. I know you don't like you're very modest, but sometimes I like to celebrate you. The one and only Robyn, very, very modest. So grateful for the abundance of support and learning here. Thank you. You're very welcome. Very welcome, Mel. Let's see who else is here. I was so prepared this time, says Lucinda, and everything went really well with number 3. And there you go. I think preparation is key to success. That's why we always say prepare for breastfeeding as well. Lots of women forget to do that during pregnancy because we're so focused on our birth, which is, of course, a huge moment in our lives anyway.
But if we could say, Chelsea, that pregnancy, labour, birth and breastfeeding and early breastfeeding, early parenting are not separate. They are transitions in a woman and her baby's journey. And when we take that transition, we understand that we're moving from one to another, and it's okay, but they're not, separated, as we would say. It's a really difficult. It's very difficult when we break them down and we take away that beautiful journey that each woman is taking.
Gosh, and it has absolutely felt like a journey for me. And I remember everything happening in hospital, even so now. And there's an emotional connection there as well with all of us. It's a big part of our lives. Breastfeeding, birthing, there's no disconnection, as you say, Robyn. I think that's a really good tip, as is the stirrups point. A very, very important tip. So ladies,
other things I say too, but I won't do it here.
Oh, I'm sure we'd love to hear it. Ladies, if you'd like access to Dr. Robyn's gentle guide for breastfeeding, then pop the word gentle guide below. It's a fantastic way to learn some tips for breastfeeding, although they're not disconnected from birth. If you'd like to see or hear more about Dr. Robyn's template, her birth and breastfeeding template, and maybe access some videos which will help you know what to include and what to consider for your unique plan. Just let us know below, and we'd love to tell you more about Dr. Robyn's online education if that's what you wish. There's lots of information around. Dr. Robyn is special in this area with lots of experience. So we hope you've enjoyed and found today's session useful. I just want to say a special thank you to Sarah for joining today. We hope to see lots more of you in the coming future. I'm excited to work closely with both of you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, of course, to our lovely viewers who have taken the time to watch us all talk about the things we love to talk about. We do love to talk about them. And keep the comments coming in, ladies. Congratulations on your pregnancy, or if you have a pregnant loved one, congratulations on your soon-to-be family member. Is there anything you'd like to add, ladies, before I do let everyone get back to their day?
I'd like to thank young Ashley, who's going to be another mother soon. She's got 3 children. Mother again, I mean, not another mother.
Oh, I love the word. Congratulations, Ashley. Lots of it going around. Must be in the water.
Ashley does come along here and sits beside me to help me with my IT, my Zoom, and my Q&A sessions, and I really appreciate that. She's a student midwife in her 3rd year. So, you know, it's very pleasurable having these wonderful young people around. And for those you won't probably know, or you may know, that's silly, Robyn, isn't it? But congratulations to my dear colleague, Carolyn Hasty, who has now received her PhD. So she's a midwife educator. She is brilliant. And
that's lovely.
Yeah, and I just like to say a big congratulations to her. She's worked hard for this to happen. I was hoping it would have happened earlier, but she had to take her time, the right time for her to finish it. It's great. So
I love your all empowering, inclusive attitude, Robyn. Congratulations to your colleagues. That's very awesome. They're following suit with the PhD. We need more women like you ladies in the world for sure. So thanks all again for watching. And Robyn will be back next week with a different topic. So keep your eyes peeled to find out what that is. And best wishes to you all. Thank you all for joining. How awesome are they? They are just such amazing women. Please remember to like and share, and also subscribe so that you don't miss out on anything coming up. And you can watch some more of our videos here on our playlist. My name is Chelsea Curley, and just remember that it's your body, your baby, and your journey. I'll see you soon.